Hi everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we dig into company filings so you don't have to. Today we're cracking open Sleep Number's latest proxy statement. And trust me, it's juicier than finding a hidden remote in your mattress. We're talking CEO changes, board shakeups, and a shareholder vote that could change the way the company is governed. Sleep Number, for those unfamiliar, makes those fancy smart beds that adjust to your every move, but lately it hasn't all been sweet dreams for the company. The bedding industry has been facing some tough times. Sales are down and there's a lot of economic uncertainty going around. In response to these challenges, the company is making some pretty big changes. One of the biggest shifts is at the top. They've appointed a new CEO, Linda Findley, who previously led Blue Apron. The previous CEO, Shelley Ibach, is retiring. Plus, there are a couple of directors who are not standing for re-election. That means a lot of fresh faces and a potential change in direction for the company. Philip Eiler is also set to become the independent chair of the board, so he is going to be leading the team. Now let's get to the juicy part. Sleep Number is asking shareholders to vote on a proposal to declassify the board. This means that instead of directors serving staggered 3-year terms, they would all be up for election every year. This could give shareholders more power to hold directors accountable. They also want to remove some supermajority voting requirements, making it easier for shareholders to make changes. If approved, these changes would start taking effect after this year's annual meeting, shaking up the company's governance structure. Right now, the board has 12 members, but it sounds like they are planning to shrink it to 9 after the annual meeting. The company is also very specific when talking about the kind of directors they want, saying that they want those with diversity, including gender, identity, race, ethnicity, age, sexual orientation, educational and professional experience, and differences in viewpoints. So who are the directors that they want you to vote for? They are Linda Findley, the new CEO, Deborah Kilpatrick, and Hilary Schneider. The board thinks that all three of these women bring valuable experience and that they support the transformation of the business and long-term shareholder value. Kilpatrick has expertise in medical devices and digital health, plus commercializing a new technology platform. So she probably is going to be heavily involved in the Sleep Number side of things. Schneider has over 2 decades of leading consumer technology companies with a track record of delivering superior customer experiences. The filing also outlines the experience of the directors who are not up for election this year. For example, Philip Eiler, who will become the independent chair of the board after the meeting. Julie Howard has experience as a former CEO, so she provides the board with management, transactional, and business transformation experience. But going back to the major point of the shareholder vote, this proposal would allow shareholders to make key changes with a simple majority instead of needing to get 2/3 of the vote. They are also planning to amend the same thing for Article 15, which covers approving certain transactions. Now, let's talk about how the board is paid. Each non-employee director gets an annual cash retainer of $95,000. Stephen Gullis, as audit committee chair, gets an extra $20,000 on top of the regular amount. Also, each director got equity compensation worth $135,000 in the form of restricted stock units. Now, I wanted to check on the audit committee as to the audit committee is supposed to provide an independent, objective oversight with respect to the company's risk management. The current chair is Stephen Gullis. The company paid $923,000 in audit fees in 2024 to Deloitte. Now comes the compensation discussion and analysis. This is where they explain how they are paying the top executives. It sounds like they made a few changes based on shareholder feedback, including overhauling how they present the data in their proxy statement, updating the peer group they use for benchmarking executive pay, and making changes to the annual incentive plan. Because they faced a challenging consumer environment in 2024, net sales are down 11% versus 2023. NOP, net operating profit growth, went down over 76%. The goal is to make sure that most of these executive pay is at risk and linked to both short-term and long-term performance. 53% of the CEO's pay and 45% of the other top executives is performance-based. So who are the people who got paid? The list includes Shelley Ibach, Francis Lee, Andrea Bloomquist, Melissa Barra, and Samuel Helfeld. Ibach is not with the company anymore. These salaries were only adjusted a little bit, so they mostly stayed the same. The CEO made $1.2 million in base salary. These leaders also get incentives. The incentive pay is reliant on EBITDA, or earnings, before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. The goal is to encourage leaders to generate cash flow from operating activities. But did the leaders get the payout? Adjusted EBITDA for 2024 was 119.6 million, short of the 149 million goal, so the payout was at only 59.8%. With long-term incentives, Shelley Ibach got a grant of 4.5 million, but based on the value, this was all on paper. What about stock options? These do not exist and were not granted, so there were no payouts. The total payout to Shelley was dependent on if Sleep Number had a good year. Since it didn't, her total pay decreased substantially. Looking at potential payments upon termination, it sounds like if Shelley gets fired, she can get about 8.6 million, and the other leaders also get severance in such cases. So overall, Sleep Number is trying to navigate a tough economic environment and leadership transition. They're making changes to their governance structure and compensation practices to try and improve performance and align with shareholder interests. But based on all the numbers, the near future will depend on the leadership team's execution. In addition to the industry demand, so what's the bottom line here? Sleep Number is definitely facing headwinds. There's no sugarcoating that. The industry is down, sales are sluggish, and they're trying to manage some major transitions. On the good side, it does seem like the new CEO, Linda Findley, has relevant experience in digital transformation and turning consumer brands around, so maybe she can pull a rabbit from the hat. Plus, Sleep Number's smart beds are differentiated and could hold up as consumer spending recover, whenever that may be. A lot rests on Findley's leadership and Sleep Number's ability to navigate those murky waters. What do you think? What will be the deciding factor for their recovery? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more corporate deep dives. Thanks for watching.